Everything you need to know about the Vigo Dem Party. So sit back, relax, and watch from anywhere. Get ready for a chat with a chair.
I'm Joe Etling, Chair of the Vigo County Democratic Central Committee, and welcome to the award-winning Chat with the Chair. It is 2022, can you believe it? Hope you had a tremendous holiday season, and Happy New Year across the waves here. Hope that you're tuning in and you're reminding everybody else to tune in, and you're liking us, sharing us, and doing all the things that people do on social media. And of course, the political season in 2022 is opened up. Candidates are already filing for office, and if you are out there considering a run for office and you want to talk to somebody, feel free to give me a call. But those of you who have already filed, I know you're out campaigning. And of course, the season opened with the filing this past Wednesday, and rumor has it that the first candidate to file for public office in Vigo County is with us this evening. And I know that everybody, our viewers, know this gentleman, but go ahead and again introduce yourself.
I'm Sheriff John Plasse, and I can confirm that rumor. I was surprised. I went in and the sheet was empty for political candidates, so I was the first one to actually sign it.
Now, you didn't have to pull your gun out or anything to be the first one.
I waited till 8 o'clock. I didn't get in early. I didn't use my pass. I went legit.
Legitimate. So the first official candidate for 2022 is Sheriff John Plasse, and so we are excited that you're seeking re-election.
Thank you.
So again, another political season. Hard to believe that your first term has gotten into its final year already.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long. It's just flown by.
So talk about the things that have been accomplished during this first term and why it was that you made the decision to be that first guy on the ballot and file for re-election.
Well, I want to be the first guy on the ballot to file just because I want people to know I'm definitely interested in continuing to serve our community. I've done that my whole career. I was 33 years with Terre City Police. I've got 36 years total in law enforcement right now, and I'm just not done serving yet. If the voters will have me again, I'll serve another 4 years, and that's what I intend to do. I think we've made some progress with the Sheriff's Office. We've added 2 more deputies out on the road, reassigned some to put a 3rd deputy extra on the road than there was when I first took over. That was in addition to adding a person to the drug task force. We've just got approved last year for body cams, and that installation will start in about 2 weeks, and hopefully sometime in February they'll be up and running. And
what do you see the significance of the body cam, Sheriff?
Well, I think it's wanted by the community. I think it's needed as well, just to show that when there's an incident where people have differing opinions, hopefully that can bring some clarity to it. It's not the end-all and fix-all of everything. Obviously it's limited. It's a camera that's in a certain spot, and if your arms are in the way or there's something in the way, it's not going to get everything. So it's not the catch-all of everything. But what we hope is has a different perspective if there's something that's conflicting, and they can get a clearer picture of what actually happened. And in talking with the city guys that have it, it seems like a lot of suspects they deal with behave a lot better when they see that they're being recorded. Because a lot of times we get I don't see it as much here in the Sheriff's Office. We get complaints on officers, and one example was an incident where a guy had a knife and was running, and he was starting to fight and making some claims. When the officer said, "We've got body cams, and everything you did is on here, and everything we did is on here, so you can keep with that." And he just kind of dropped his head and knew that the camera's going to back what really happened, not his allegation of what happened that wasn't true.
Yeah. Sometimes say the eye in the sky, so that's the eye on your chest,
correct.
right? Yeah.
And it's also will keep our deputies, in check if they, we don't train them to do things wrong, and I don't believe there's anybody that goes out there every day or any day and wants to do something wrong. But I think knowing that you're recorded and all you're doing, you're going to be a better deputy because you won't take a shortcut. Maybe you'll be more professional. I think not that we aren't, but I think it will help, and it'll bring some some clarity and some just that other viewpoint if there's differing opinions on something.
Talk about some other initiatives that you took under yourself when you became the sheriff and how those are coming along.
Well, we did promotional testing. I know people don't know a lot about this, but there was no test before I got there to get promoted. So we have a process now where you have to test, and we use your time and rank, your evaluations, which again, before I got there weren't any evaluations on deputies. So we started an evaluation system to truly just see what we're dealing with. Not that we had issues, but if you don't have an evaluation system, you're not going to see those issues. So we introduced those to our deputies, did testing for promotions. We just recently promoted some sergeants because of vacancies in the office, and we just recently got another canine dog as well, so that's something else out there protecting our community. So we're trying to just do more things and be more, I guess, active and more, do more community policing, if you will, as much as we can.
Now, based on your background, experience in law enforcement, why were those evaluations so important to your department?
Well, if you've got trends, for example, or if you've got people that are always excelling, there's no really way other than observation to track that. There's no record of, hey, this deputy was great, this deputy maybe not so much. And that's not what it's for, but it finds those ones that have deficiencies, and we work on that. And when we see an issue, we correct it. And a lot of times, that just wasn't happening. I'll just say that. And I think this is a more transparent way to show what the deputy does through the year. It gets that yearly evaluation, and then we use it again for promotion. So if they've gotten a bad evaluation, they won't be one of the ones that would be selected because of that.
Right. So that's obviously something that's not quite as visible, probably, as you said, to the general public. Of course, the thing that has been most available and in the public is about the jail, so maybe give us an update on how that's coming along.
It's really coming along. I know people think we're already there, but we're not. The outside is, for the most part, complete, but once you get the shell, there's still a lot of inside finishing up, and you just wouldn't believe the magnitude of what is inside there. Just the miles and miles of cables and wiring, and it's just a tremendous facility. But what the good thing with the jail is, it will allow us to do programming training that we don't have dedicated space for now. We've got that in the new jail. It also has a negative air filtration system, and we thought about this even before COVID hit. We were talking about, does this have a negative air system? Yes. And then once COVID hit, I know that even the commissioners were looking at ways to make it safer. So now there's a filtration system on top of that negative air system that will filter the air that goes through. So if there is any kind of contaminant or any kind of virus or airborne issue, that should purify that, and then that pumps pure air back into the jail. So it's just going to be a more efficient facility. We won't have a spread like we had when we had COVID in the jail and the initial outbreak, because when you have cells with bars, that air just goes all the way through. This is a different system that's going to be more safe and hopefully even prevent, like the flu or something small like that, a cold, from going around.
And do you have a timetable still on the taking occupancy then of the jail?
Well, I learned something about construction projects. When I thought a substantial completion date meant, well, that's when we're done. Well, I guess substantial is the key word.
Gotta watch those lawyers. Gotta watch them.
So it won't be ready for us to move in probably until May. So the building should be substantially complete. March 22nd is that date, and that hasn't changed yet. Hopefully they'll stay on track. And then once we get in there, we'll need to train our staff, make sure all the systems work, because we don't want to take inmates down there, find out, hey, this isn't working, and then bring them all back. So we're going to make sure we do extensive testing of the systems, extensive training of the staff, and make sure we're ready 100% when we bring inmates down. And I don't have a timetable for that. I don't want to rush that.
Sure. We'll
just see how that training goes. And obviously, for security reasons, we wouldn't publish that anyway, for people to know when we're moving inmates.
Yeah, so that'll be, as you say, for security reasons, understand that won't be made public. But with regard to the general public, of course, they know where the Sheriff's Department's located now, and where, if they were seeking to talk to someone in your department, to go. But at that time frame, will there be dual locations, or will you anticipate having all your operations then contained there in that new facility? Once
we move, like the office staff, we will start operating out of the new facility. So we'll be operating there while the jail staff is still operating at the jail. So we're hoping that period is no more than 2 months.
Okay. And have there been any discussions as to what will become of the former jail and that whole department?
I know the commissioners are in charge of that, and
Okay.
I've heard different stories, and that's varied over time. And there's actually someone in there yesterday looking at it, an architect, to look at, I guess, do a
Ideas.
feasibility study. And
But
see
from
what-
your department standpoint, obviously, if it becomes some component of something the commissioners or the courts utilize that you have to provide security for, but independent of that, do you anticipate that the sheriff's department will have any real office space presence there?
all we requested was a place to offload inmates for trial or for court appearances, and
Okay.
we aren't just going to stop on 3rd Street or out in the courthouse lawn and offload. That's just not a safe way to do business. So I asked if they let us use the Sally Port, which is, if you know what the Sally Port is, where you drive in the garage area and then drop off prisoners inside, and then have a few holding cells. So if we have a disruptive inmate, we can take him to that cell while we still have others in court until that court is over, and then transport the whole group back.
Okay. So that's obviously on the agenda. What other items are you working with your deputies on right now?
Right now, that's the main thing, is getting prepared for the move, doing the body cam implementation. That's taking a significant amount of time, working with city police since they've done it. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'll get their best practices from them and hopefully have a smoother transition.
Now, given your time with the Terrell Police Department, of course,
Mhm.
also your tenure as the chief, how has that helped you in coordinating efforts your department with the Terrell Police Department during the period that you've been the sheriff?
Before I left, we had good relations with Sheriff Ewing, with Dan Jones from State Police, and Michelle Barrett at ISU. Bill Bark and West Arrow. We all worked together as a community just to make sure our community is safer. And I don't hear that in every community I go to. I don't know why, but I'm just very thankful we're in a community that works well together. I know Michelle formerly worked at Terre Haute City. Sean's obviously the chief now. So we all three worked together for a while. Bill has been a friend for a long time, and Dan just recently retired, but there's a new state police commander. But I know a lot of troopers that, Chris Wright, for example, different ones I've worked with all the time out here. And I think it's just knowing the people. It's not like I was a new person coming in. I was familiar with them, and they were familiar with me. And really the only thing changed was I'm a little older and I had a different uniform. So.
Speaking of which, you went from the blue that you were so prominently seen into that brown.
Yes.
And of course, you got more green on tonight. I noticed.
Well, I'm off. I don't know
And Sheriff, I was leaving my office the other night, and not that I was pulled over by one of your deputies, but I had to notice that as opposed to the more traditional brown deputy's car, that a black vehicle pulled up next to me with the emblem of the Vigo County Sheriff's Department. So I was a little taken aback by that. Fortunately, I was not being pulled over by them, so I wasn't taken aback as much as I might have been. But talk about that. What's with the black vehicles out there?
I'm glad you noticed, since we did that about 3 years ago, but I know you're observant. When we went to purchase vehicles, and Greg Ewing, let us make that choice since he was leaving. He didn't want to do that before, which I appreciate that. We looked at the vehicles, and the Ford Explorer, they had a huge price increase. The salesman, I'm not saying all salesmen are bad, but the salesman said that it's more fuel efficient, it'll pay for itself. And I'm like, well, I'm from Missouri, show me. I don't believe it. So they went up about $7,000 or $8,000 a vehicle. We could get the Durangos for about 24, so about, if you do the math, for 4 of those vehicles, I'm saving that money to buy a Durango, so I could get a lot more vehicles with a lot of money that we have. And obviously we're using taxpayer money. You don't want to spend frivolously. You want to make sure you get the best that you could. The Durango was just coming out. I know this is a long answer for a short.
No, let's go right ahead. I threw you a
think
softball. I threw you a softball to start with, and you just squashed me. I mean, I was trying to set you up for this story, and then you go ahead and throw me under the bus. But go ahead, Sheriff. You go right ahead. Take all the time you want.
So
we can rename the show after you if you want. But go right ahead.
So, regarding our black Dodge Durangos, so we looked at the Durango, since that was a new pursuit vehicle that just came out from Dodge, and the price was a lot lower than the Fords. And I didn't want to put my deputies in something that wasn't safe. I didn't want to put them in something that wasn't pursuit rated, because that's what they had with the Ford. So I wasn't going to make it less safe just to save money. I would not do that. But we had an alternate for less money, so we thought we would try that. Well, Dodge didn't have the same color that Ford does, and they didn't have the Arizona Bays, is the traditional sheriff's car we've seen in Indiana for many years. And I've seen some other sheriff's vehicles at different events I've been to around the state, and I've seen some black ones before, and I like them, and that was the way we went.
So what's been the response over these 3 years that we've had these black vehicles?
Well,
what kind of response have you
people
get?
noticed them before you did yesterday, but if they haven't, it's been pretty good. I know people, you always hear the joke, well, we're not going to see you now for speeding. Just people in general just kind of joke that, oh,
Right.
you did that to catch us. So no, it was a matter of, saving the taxpayers some money and still having a safe, efficient vehicle for the service in the community.
So how fast can those vehicles actually go then?
I don't have one. I have a Chevy truck, which it stops at 97.
Okay.
So it's got a governor.
I'll remember that if you start chasing me
So
tonight.
if you go over that, you're going away. But I have 900 every day like they are on the roads. Now, I don't know what the top speed is,
Okay.
but we have alerts on there, so if they go over 100, then we get notified, and that's not a very frequent occurrence. Just if it's a pursuit or something like that on the interstate or on the state highways, we would go those speeds, but normally we would not come close to that. And but you hear different stories. Some guys that had the Fords, because I didn't have one before, so I don't know really to compare with the guys that work on the road. Say that the Dodges are faster taking off, but the Fords in the long run are faster. So maybe it's better that these are that way. So if they would get in a pursuit or try to get somewhere quick, they can get there safely and faster than if it was a slower car like the Ford was.
So how do you like the hat? Do you like the new hat that you had from what you had with the police
I'm
department?
a fan. I was not a fan of the, as we call the bus driver cap that we have for city police. It really serves no purpose. The bill is so short it won't keep rain out of your eyes. I just wasn't a fan of that. And obviously the smoky bear type hat is one that would keep rain off you if you're out in the rain a lot. I think it looks better, and kind of reminds me of the drill sergeants that were yelling at me when I was in basic training in 1983. So,
That brings back some flashbacks to that.
yeah,
doesn't it?
oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Drop. Yes, sir.
So we know too that we've acknowledged recently here the 1-year anniversary of a very difficult time in our country with January 6th. And in that regard, I know that in particular the Capitol Police have gotten some review about a lot of things, and talk about maybe your interactions over the years with the Capitol Police and what you can say about that.
Well, in my experience with the Capitol Police, they're a top-notch group. We obviously go there for Police Week for honor guards and work with the Capitol Police very closely on honoring the members of the families of the fallen officers and deputies throughout the country. And they've been nothing but professional. When we were there, they had everything ready to go. The security for the president is their utmost concern, and the security of that Capitol is their utmost concern. And to see what I saw a year ago, it broke my heart to see our country attacked in that way. For people, whatever their reason, they're attacking police officers, they're breaking in the Capitol, threatening to harm our elected officials. I mean, if you have a disagreement, I get it. There's proper ways to do that. It's not by breaking the law, and I'm glad the ones that have been caught are facing punishment and time, because I don't ever want to see that in my lifetime. I don't ever want it to happen again forever, because that's terrible. That is a sin of our democracy, and for people to attack that, there's no excuse for that.
So your interaction over the years with the Capitol Police, I guess, ranged from perhaps maybe some with your military background, also with an honor guard, maybe when you were with the Terrell Police Department.
Yes, and that's how we met them. They were in charge of those details, and they screened us when we came in to be either a color team or to line the cordon when the president and all the big officials would walk through. And I was proud to say that we were there one year and George Bush was walking through, and I was the honor guard commander, so I had my team on the other side of the cordon, and I had my camera, and I even asked, I don't want to do something that's not proper, especially in an event like that. And is I can take a picture of the president as he goes through our honor guard, and they let me do that. And I took a shot as President Bush was walking, and the Terre Haute police flag was there. Of course, the state flag, the United States flag was there. So I thought it was a really good picture, but unfortunately one of my honor guard guys, he was right behind the president. So it's Pete Horseman. So if you knew Pete, I apologize to Pete, but George Bush blocked him. But and you're trained to, when you're on honor guard, to look straight ahead, and it's really difficult to do that. And if you look at the picture, you can see my guy's eyes. They're looking at the president, which I say I've done that before too.
Yeah.
That's the guy leading our country. That's
Sure.
the president, the commander-in-chief. Especially in the military, he's in charge of all of us. When I did my military service, and you got to respect that person for their position.
Yeah, and I know Pete, so I'm sure he's got a whole different version of that too, doesn't he?
Well, I think he said I timed it that way, but I'm not that good. I just was glad it wasn't blurry and it was a good photo of the president.
Of course, it was, again, so tragic that people lost their lives, including Capitol police officers.
Yes.
And so, clearly our thoughts are still going out to their families and what they've gone through here. But I guess, what would you say one of the strongest messages we take away from a situation like that as a country?
I'm 100% for the First Amendment and freedom of speech and getting your message across if you disagree with somebody, but do it legally. Don't break the law to do it. And I mean, to commit felonies for whatever you're furthering it, there's no excuse for that. And to attack a police officer for doing their job, they're there to protect the Capitol. But we've seen that unfortunately in our country recently, where police officers are under attack, and of course that makes me sick to see that. But
right.
I know in the 36 years I've been doing this that we're subject to that. I've been attacked before. We've had 3 officers killed in line of duty in the last 10 years in Terre Haute Police Department that I worked with. It's a dangerous place, and I hope and pray that it gets better. But I still know there are people that are totally against the police, and they will do whatever they can to throw things at us, to come at us, to hurt us.
And you, of course, referenced the loss that's occurred in this community over the past decade. And of course, tragic events in 2021 with Officer Ferenczi, and of course, again, our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. How would you say things in the community have been since that time with regard to those kind of sentiments and people's actions and activities towards law enforcement officers?
Well, unfortunately, there's still an element that they don't care about the law. They don't respect the law. They will do whatever they need to do to try to get away. We've seen that every day, unfortunately. But the overwhelming majority of our community is supportive of us. They have been my whole career. And I've not seen that diminish. It's what we refer to as a silent majority. They don't really say a lot. We hear a lot of thank yous. But in times of crisis, times of death of an officer, this community really comes out and shows their support of us. And I couldn't be more proud to be a law enforcement officer here in Vigo County and to support and work for, protect this community.
Of course, being the first guy in line to file for office, to be seeking to be the sheriff again in Vigo County, obviously would suggest that you are happy with your career path. But did you ever reflect back and thought maybe I should have done something different or not?
Well, that's funny you say that, because Todd Thacker will tell you this story. My father was an electrician, and I think a lot of kids when they grow up want to do or be like their dad, and I wanted to be an electrician like my dad was. And unfortunately, the year I graduated, it was a year after you in 1982, not to date you. But,
No, not at all.
They quit the apprenticeship program because there were a lot of layoffs in the industry. And the reasoning was, which I totally agree with, that if we can't keep our employees now employed, why would we bring new people in that would also not be employed? So that program got suspended, and I had to look for something else. Well, being only 18, I enrolled at ISU and started a degree in criminology, and I got a little sidetracked when I went to basic training and to go to the military to help pay for college at the time. But yeah, I think that would have happened if they didn't stop the apprenticeship program that year. And things happen for a reason, and I've been very blessed in my career. Very thankful for the opportunities that God has given me and this community has given me. And but I think I would have been just as happy as an electrician. My dad would always say I know just enough about electricity to be dangerous. So.
Well, but for that turn of events, you've probably been down there wiring the jail, the new jail,
you're right.
instead of down there keeping everybody in line. But that's interesting that circumstance presented itself. So that's.
But Todd did me a solid when.
Now let's not give him too much credit on here. Right? We don't want to.
Well, he did, and that's one of the probably the most honored things that I've been made was an honorary electrician.
Oh, is that right?
He was business manager back then, which he still is. I think he maybe just gave it up just recently, but because I shared that story with him somewhere, because you know my dad, being an electrician, and he just thought that was the right thing to do, and so he made me an honorary electrician. Obviously,
is that right?
I can't go out and do anything. I can't do.
You can't. Well, we were going to have to check out the lights.
Well, I wouldn't be legal if I did that, but that was just really touching that he would do that for me, and because I think everybody's dad means a lot to him, and
absolutely.
I want to be like my dad. And unfortunately, I wasn't here to see that, but still, it's an honor that I think it makes me a little bit more like he is, and that's, I think for any kid, that's going to be a compliment.
Now, Todd didn't do it just because you may make him an honorary deputy or something.
He's not asked, but I don't know.
I bet he'd like those hats. I mean, I bet he'd like the hat, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I don't know if Todd has a temperament to be a deputy. We'll see.
I'm glad you said that, not me. But so when you're an honorary electrician, what do they do? How do you?
Just have a little card.
A little card?
Yeah.
Card-carrying member now.
Yeah, I don't carry it because I'm not an official. I wouldn't want to, insult the guys that went through the program and know far more than I do about electricity. I could wire a house, but I'm sure they can do it a lot better than I could.
You're a man of many trades here, Sheriff. That's good to know. So as we embark on 2022, we had a crystal ball here. What do we see in the world with the Sheriff's Department and with the Sheriff himself?
Well, one thing I want to do, when I was a city police, I was the chief when we were approved or accepted in accreditation. We were awarded accreditation as an agency, and there's not many agencies in the state of Indiana that are accredited. I think there's 20-some. I think there's only one sheriff's office that is, and that's my goal the next term, is to get us through the accreditation process, get us accredited. And it really does a lot of good things for your agency. It makes sure you basically have a policy for everything, and unfortunately, when I first took over, we found some policies that were lacking, and I'm not for anybody's fault, they just weren't there, so we've made some corrections and added some policies since I've been there. But this accreditation kind of looks through everything, and it's a really time-consuming process. And I just really didn't get to that in my first term. This time was really fun with other things that we were trying to do. But that's my number one goal, is to get us accredited. I think that's going to make us look better as an agency. And I think ISU's already accredited. Terre Haute Police would be the third agency here in Vigo County. I think that would be pretty special.
That's great. And of course, we still are dealing throughout our community with COVID, and I know that's an ongoing issue with your department and with the jail itself. So
yes.
Any updates with regard to how things are being handled with your jail with the COVID?
We are still sticking with prior CDC guidelines. When inmates come in, they're still getting quarantined for 15 days. We just don't want to take a chance there because we've got COVID in the jail now. We want to keep that minimized. So we're going to stick to doing what we've been doing, and it's been working. The bad thing is we can't stop it. It's not like we let the door open and let it in. It's just something that through our best efforts, we can't stop it. And I don't think it's going to be really much better until we get to the new facility because of the system that they have in place to prevent that from occurring, to prevent the spread from block to block. But we still have our guards wearing masks inside. I think that's probably one of the reasons why we still have a low retention rate for jail staff and a high turnover is you can get paid more than they're getting paid at another job where you don't have to wear a mask and you don't have to deal with the stuff that they deal with every day. It's just not a glamorous job. And that's never going to change. And I think as long as we have COVID, we're going to still have to wear those masks, and I just don't see it happening or going away anytime soon. I know someone mentioned that there's another variant they found in France just recently, so I'm just afraid that it's here to stay. And when I looked at the projected rates and the projected time it would run its course, they showed July of 2020 it would be over, and here we are in January 2022, and almost a year and a half later, and it's going. We got some of the highest rates now we do have the highest rates we've ever had. So I just don't see that changing in the near future. Unfortunately, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but
Right.
I just don't see.
Well, those are definitely difficult jobs. I know it's difficult to find people, and you've got some great people working for you, to say the least.
Yes, we do.
But those people that may be viewing or have family or friends that might have interest in getting involved with law enforcement or corrections, I would assume there might be some opportunities, particularly
Yes.
with the new jail.
Our application process is 24/7, 365, so it's online on the Vigo County government website, so you can apply anytime for that. If you're interested in being a deputy or a reserve deputy, we're opening that process up January the 18th,
Okay.
and they'll run through March 4th, I believe. So we'll be having releases on that soon for people
So
to
Todd,
see.
get
So-
that date down. Make sure Todd gets that date down.
All right, so Todd, if you're interested,
Apply.
You can apply.
I'd be interested to see that interview.
Well, he has to pass the peer review board, so
Oh.
that's with some more other deputies. So we'll see how. Todd can be charming though.
Oh, well,
He's a
of
good
course.
talker. He's very well spoken. So
He's a beekeeper. I mean, he makes honey.
really,
Did you know that?
Well, I think he should probably bring some honey and help his chances.
Well, he's got, again, another guy, a lot of talent. So
That's right.
Brought
That's
to
right.
the county council. So
Nice.
these electricians are multi-talented. That's for
right.
sure.
Yes, sir.
So if anybody then is looking to apply, they can go on the website. And then, of course, if people are wanting to reach out to their sheriff, what's the best way to contact you, Sheriff?
You can reach out 812-462-3226. My door's open. Obviously, with COVID, we try to limit people coming in now just to prevent the spread, but just a phone call away.
So, of course, we sure hope that people are staying healthy and safe, and we hope that we can have a little bit more of a normal campaign season moving forward. So I'm sure you're very anxious about the fish fries and chili
Yes,
dinners.
I
Is that
missed
correct?
those last year,
Yeah.
and I lost a little weight because of it, so I've got room to expand.
And your wife, I'm sure, will be right by your side as one of
She
your.
loves all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll be looking forward to it.
So we'll look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail, and it's great to hear all the things taking place at the Sheriff's Department. So it's always great to have you come in and chat with the chair here, Sheriff. So any final thoughts for our viewers?
No, just again, as I mentioned before, I really feel blessed to be in this community, and the support that we've received, I received personally in my career I couldn't ask for anything better. And this community actually makes us a better agency because of the support we receive through tips, through calling on suspicious things. If we have a most wanted project going on, we'll get calls to identify those people. So because of our community, we're a better agency, and I just thank everyone for doing that and helping us make our community safe. We all work together to do that, and I appreciate everyone doing that.
Well said, Sheriff. Again, we appreciate you joining us, and we encourage everybody to like us and share us, and hope that everybody is staying safe, and we look forward to seeing you again when we chat with the chair. And until our next chat with the chair, I'm Joe Etling. Have a great rest of your night, and God bless you all.
EMOCRATIC. Everything you need to know about the Vigo Dem Party. So sit back, relax, and watch.